Here's the theory. The theory is that women are tilted towards empathizing and males are tilted towards systematizing. And that seems to fall into alignment with other observations suggesting that the biggest gender difference between adult humans is interest preference. Women are much more likely to express interest in occupations that involve a lot of social contact, whereas men are more likely to manifest interest in occupations that have to do with things. And so one example of that, you see this in the Scandinavian countries, despite the fact that they've really done everything possible to flatten out the environmental differences between opportunities for boys and for girls, is that in the Scandinavian countries the ratio of male nurses to female nurses is 1 to 20. And of female engineers to male engineers is 1 to 20. And the governments now and then do a big push to try to get more men into nursing and more women into engineering, and with a lot of push and a lot of advertising and marketing and so forth, they can shift the proportions to some minor degree, but as soon as they stop pushing hard, they just snap back to 1 in 20. It's really interesting, if you think about it, that the biggest gender differences that are reported in the world are reported between men and women in Scandinavian societies, because those are the most gender equal societies in the world. And so one of the perverse things that has happened is that, you can imagine that there's some reason that men and women are different is because of environmental variability, right? The environment for the women and the environment for the men is different. And then some proportion is due to genetic variability. And so then one idea, which is false, is that if you eradicated the environmental variability, the gender differences would disappear. That would only be the case if all the gender differences were due to environmental variability. What happens instead is that when you eliminate the environmental variability, you maximize the genetic variability. And the reason you do that is because that's all that's left, right? You've eradicated the other source of variability, so the only thing left is genetic variability. And the consequence of that is that men and women differ more in Scandinavia than they do in any other place on the planet. Now, to me, that seems like the death knell of social construction theories, because it's exactly the opposite of what would have been predicted. Precisely the opposite. You know, and maybe it would have been a good thing if flattening out the opportunity landscape would have eradicated gender differences in personality and preference and so forth, but it isn't self-evident that that's a good thing, because you could also say that an egalitarian society, optimally constructed, is one in which the differences between people are allowed to manifest themselves, so that each person is able to find a place and a niche in the society that actually fits their temperament.